What's up guys, it's me, Tiff, and a few days ago on December 27th, 2022, I spoke with Sam Bankman-Fried in person for the first time at his parents' home in Palo Alto, California. Please keep in mind that he is under house arrest, so there's literally nowhere else we could have possibly met. For those of you who have no idea who the fuck I am, this wasn't some random meeting. I've interviewed Sam twice in the past. I've been covering the Celsius network bankruptcy since about June this year because I lost 3.1 bitcoins and 11.6 ETH to Celsius network, and I started receiving leaked information from employees inside the company, which I posted to the public. My first leak of an internal all-hands meeting was posted on September 13th, 2022, and that's the day that Sam Bankman-Fried followed me on Twitter. We had spoken a couple of times since then, just some brief friendly exchanges, but then, when FTX went bankrupt, I decided to shoot my shot and DM him and see if he'd be willing to chat with me. I was not expecting a response whatsoever, but he replied. So I've interviewed Sam twice prior to meeting him in person, and again, those interviews are listed on YouTube. So no, I'm not a traditional journalist, I'm not employed by anyone, but I am covering crypto bankruptcies because I got fucked by one. Anyway, as many of you may know, Sam Bankman-Fried was recently extradited from the Bahamas to the United States and released on a $250 million bond secured by his parents' Palo Alto home. Well, since I cover FTX, I saw this pretty immediately, and I'm currently in San Francisco visiting my sister and her husband for the holidays. It's also just way too fucking cold in New York right now, so I'll probably be here in California quite a bit. So, I figured I'd shoot my shot and text Sam and see if he was allowed visitors. I really don't even know how house arrest works, so I assumed he wasn't allowed visitors, but to my surprise, he said yes, he was allowed visitors and he agreed to meet with me. Again, because I cover FTX, I spend a lot of time reading recent news articles, so of course I have questions to ask, and for some reason, Sam is willing to talk to me. From there though, I've been a bit conflicted about what exactly to do with the information. Firstly, I'd like to note that my previous interviews with Sam Bankman-Fried have gotten him into some serious shit. He admitted to me that he donated dark to the Republican Party, which led to an FEC complaint as well as one of his 8 criminal charges from the Department of Justice for conspiring to defraud the United States by violating campaign finance laws.
I donated to both parties. I donated about the same amount to both parties this year. That was not generally known because despite Citizens United being literally the highest profile Supreme Court case of the decade and the thing everyone talks about when they talk about campaign finance, for some reason, in practice, no one can possibly fathom the idea that someone in practice actually gave dark. So, I don't know, all my Republican donations were dark.
The assertions he made to me about the $477 million hack were cited in Congress.
There was a hacker who stole some $477 million worth of tokens from FTX. There was a November 29th interview with Mr. Bankman-Fried with Tiffany Fong when he said he's narrowed it down to like 8 people, quote.
And he also admitted to reopening withdrawals in the Bahamas without permission from securities regulators.
Withdrawals were opened first to citizens of Antigua or Bahamas, yes.
Bahamas.
Yes, and then the regulators or securities said that that was not approved.
Yeah, I stand by my decision. I think the right decision.
Wait, sorry?
It was... All right, so I ran it. I gave them a heads up, a 1-day heads up that we were going to do it. They didn't say yes or no. They didn't respond. And then we did it. The reason I did it was it was critical to the exchange being able to have a future because that's where I am right now. And you do not want to be in the country with a lot of angry people in it. And you do not want your company to be incorporated in a country with a lot of angry people in it. And so it was, realistically speaking, it's shitty. But like, yeah, the pathway forward for FTX involved Bahamians not being pissed at it.
So again, in sum, posting my previous interviews with Sam Bankman-Fried have actually led to very real and serious consequences for him. On the flip side though, I also get a lot of flack for interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried because most people assume that every word out of his mouth is a complete and utter lie, and I also get accused of being his mouthpiece or trying to help him spin his own narrative. My personal opinion is that the more he says, to some degree, the better, although the apology tour was pretty excessive. But Sam has managed to hang himself with his own words more than once, as referenced previously in this video. But anyway, I do see both sides of the argument, and that's why I've been pretty conflicted over the past few days about what exactly to share and how to share it. Also, I'd like to note that this wasn't necessarily a formal interview. Sam was willing to address all of my questions, and he didn't shy away from anything, but he did also make clear that he's currently in the process of writing out a comprehensive chronology of events as he remembers them. And he did imply that he wasn't open to a formal interview until he had completed that chronology of events. In other words, I won't be posting a recording of this conversation, and he loosely said that some things were fine to talk about, but he wasn't specifically clear about what things he was referring to. So it's all in a bit of a gray area right now. We actually ended the conversation saying that we could reconvene at a later date for a more formal interview, so I was mostly holding out for that. But now that tabloids have decided to hop on and try to sexualize and sensationalize the fact that I met with Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm a little bit reluctant to go through that media shitstorm again. The Daily Mail and the New York Post decided to pull old bikini photos of me in college for this story, to imply that Sam and I have an intimate relationship. And I'd like to say here, no, we do not have an intimate relationship. So anyway, I'll try to share as much of the conversation as I'm able to, but I was mostly holding out for our more formal interview, which was supposed to occur soon, but again, I'm anticipating fucking headlines again. One thing I can share right now is that Sam is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow on January 3rd, and he did tell me that he does not plan to plead guilty, so there's one little note. We did also discuss his time at Fox Hill Prison, and he basically described it as maddening. He acknowledged that he had it somewhat better off than other inmates because he had access to running water and a toilet when other inmates apparently had to use garbage bags. While he did describe the physical conditions of the prison as disgusting, he said that that was something he could get used to over time. He actually seemed a lot more negatively impacted by the lack of mental stimulation. Namely, he said that the most intolerable part of prison was the lack of internet access and phone access. The only visitor he was allowed was his Bahamian lawyer, and because he wasn't allowed contact with his US legal counsel, there were a lot of miscommunications apparently, and he wasn't able to partake in negotiations over his bail conditions or his extradition. So basically, Sam said that this inability to communicate basically drove him mad. He said that every once in a while the guards would bring him a pen and paper, only to confiscate it a few hours later. So he basically said he spent a lot of his time in prison trying to go comatose by playing 18 hours a day of Sudoku or trying to fall asleep. So there's a bit of information from our conversation. I'll probably get heat for it or be accused of being Sam's mouthpiece or for trying to get people to sympathize with Sam. At the end of the day, I had questions and Sam is willing to chat with me. I can either keep those answers to myself or I can share them. I think I'll get heat either way, so I'm just not really sure what I'm supposed to do. I'm not trying to sway public sentiment in his favor. I'm literally just trying to relay information that I have. So I don't know. No one's forcing you to watch this, and I don't really know what to say at this point. I was never really a public person prior to posting about fucking Celsius starting in June this year, or last year. So, yeah. I may have a more formal interview with Sam soon, and hopefully he allows me to record it and share it. If I'm able to do that, I will try to. I hope that you're all doing better than I am, and yeah, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm probably going to be posting about this more on Substack, so if you want to follow me on Substack, feel free to follow me there. My contact information is in the description box down below. I'll talk to you all very, very soon. This is my Marvel style end credit scene. I'm coming at you from my sister's house in San Francisco, California. I'll probably be here a lot because it's way too fucking cold in New York right now. I'd like to take a moment to send a huge fuck you to the Daily Mail and the New York Post for digging through old college bikini photos of me to use in a story about me interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried.